On a September night, in the fields near a remote village in northeast India, the rice hangs ripe on the stem. Farmers asleep in their bamboo huts plan to begin the harvest in the morning. They've planted enough to survive and feed their children another year. But under the cover of darkness, a force of nature is at work in their fields that will thwart all their plans. Like plagues of the past, this one is wrought by a creature called the black rat, one of the most common and most devastating pests known to man. Over the course of 3 nights as the villagers sleep, rats erupt out of the ground by the thousands, overrun the fields, and eat everything in sight. This year, there won't be a harvest.
It's already midday, James. We may have to spend the night here, I think.
I think so.
Biologist Ken Applin, a National Geographic grantee, has come here all the way from Australia to investigate. Along with local biologist James Lalsiamliana, they can hardly believe their eyes.
James, I thought this field had been harvested from a distance, but it's just been completely destroyed.
Yeah.
It's not been harvested by people, but by rats. And the corn is also, it looks as though every corn is completely destroyed. No corn to resow and not even enough rice to resow. Never seen destruction on this scale anywhere that I've ever worked in Asia. Very tragic tale, I think.
The farmers expected to harvest 4,000 pounds of rice.
Next year.
They got 50.
But nothing for eating.
For the 40 families of the village of Klongkong, it's going to be a desperate year. They are not the only ones suffering. These catastrophic rat attacks seem to hit in a way that defies understanding.
Right here.
I've heard about these things for 10 years or more, all over Southeast Asia. Desperately want to see it. What exactly does happen? What is the connection from the rat outbreaks? No one knows. We've got no hard data. Just myth and fiction. We need facts.
Applin's quest to figure out how it happens began months ago, when he first came to the northeastern Indian state called Mizoram. It is a world apart, separated from the rest of India by Bangladesh. The people here are distinct, ethnically descended from the Chinese, and religiously Christian, not Hindu as in most of India. In the Mizo language, they even refer to India as the mainland.
Rats, they're coming from all over Mizoram.
All over the state.
Yeah.
Along with James Lalsiamliana, Applin has been trying to track a wave of rat outbreaks as they sweep across the state. The scale of the onslaught appears to be astonishing. It's estimated that the rats have consumed over 50,000 metric tons of rice so far. It would take a lot of rats to do that kind of damage. Applin is about to get a hint of just how many.
And how many do we have here? What's this?
30,000.
30,000 tails. 30,000 tails.
Ken's never seen or smelled data like this.
Tip them all out. Let's make a big heap. Look at that. I've never seen such a sight.
We'll start counting one by one.
You can count them and I'll start at the other end and identify them. Oh, that's a fat one. Look. What's that?
As a way to fend off the tidal wave of rats, the government has offered a bounty of 2 rupees for every rat killed and its tail turned in.
These are almost all black rat.
These 30,000 rat tails are just a fraction of the over 1.5 million that have been collected. But so far, the government program has had little effect at stopping the wave of rats.
This is a great snapshot, James, of what breeds up black rats. Huge numbers of black rats.
The black rat is a formidable foe and one of the most destructive species on Earth. Sneaking onto ships and carts, it spread from Southeast Asia around the world, carrying the plague to medieval Europe. They eat what people eat and can thrive in both cities and the countryside. They operate mostly at night, so they're nearly invisible. They are successful opportunists, omnivores who take advantage of any ready food source and then unleash their ultimate survival weapon: more rats. The pile of tails gives Applin his first clue about which rat is the culprit here. This sample is more than 90% black rats.
They're not that common normally in these bamboo forests. Maybe that under normal conditions they might make up 10% of all of the rats in that community. So they've increased dramatically here, and the key is their more rapid breeding.
Rapid breeding gives black rats a dramatic advantage over other rat species. Their gestation is 21 days, 5 days shorter than almost any other type of rodent. Pups also wean more quickly, in a little more than 2 weeks. In the right conditions, their numbers will shoot up exponentially. The result is a plague of rats.
Is there anything from the 1860s?
In the state archives, Ken and James have unearthed evidence that rat outbreaks have happened here on a weirdly predictable schedule. In 1959, in 1911, and before that, in 1863. Documents dating back to the early days of the British Raj verify that every 48 years, there's been a massive rat plague and famine.
October and December 1911.
In December 1911, here I received a helio from Assistant Superintendent. You know, helio is when one man stands on a mountaintop with a mirror and flashes the sunlight in Morse code.
Okay.
Inquiring as to whether any damage had been done by rats in this subdivision as swarms were crossing the tower.
The records also reveal that something else happens on the exact same schedule as these rat outbreaks.
49 years ago. Oh, look how it begins. When the bamboos in this district started flowering 2 years ago, the Mizos were dead sure that famine was at their doorstep.
Okay.
They believe that the flowering of bamboos, which takes place once every 50 years, is the forerunner of rats' depredations on dunes, with tragic consequences.
Mizoram is blanketed by 2,400 square miles of bamboo. Like wicked clockwork, every 48 years it blossoms, fruits, and dies. In an uncanny quirk of nature, that's exactly when the black rats seem to come out. This great flowering appears to spread across Mizoram in a wave, taking about 2 years to complete. The people call it Mautam, and it fills them with dread.
The nature of havoc caused by rats on dunes is simply devastating. Not a single stalk of paddy is spared. If for any reason this paddy is lost, the people know no other way to go for their livelihood, but just brood on their misery. Very poetic as well.
The last time it happened was 1959. Then 2 years ago, right on schedule, Mautam began again, slowly sweeping across Mizoram from east to west. The bamboo first bloomed along the Burmese border. A surge of rats followed a few months later. The same thing happened last year in the middle and southern parts of the state. If the pattern holds, it's going to happen one more time, in the area around a village called Zamwang, and Ken is determined to be there to see it and to document it.
Mautam only happens once every 48 years. This is my last chance to work out what really happens during Mautam, to get that connection between the bamboo flowering and the rat outbreaks.
The size of the bamboo forests in Mizoram makes this bamboo flowering the largest in the world. But it occurs in other places in Southeast Asia and South America, also triggering rat outbreaks, famine, and suffering.
And I think what we learn here can be applied and help millions and millions of people worldwide.
But first, Ken has to convince his colleagues it's real. Right now, many scientists dismiss it as folklore because it's only based on anecdote. Applin plans to quantify it for the first time, but he doesn't have much time to do it.
This is our last chance then, James,
Yeah,
to
last
see
chance.
this in our lives,
Yes.
because by the time it happens again, I think we might have passed on.
Yeah, 48 years.
Yeah.
As Ken and James head for Zamwang, the village that hasn't been hit yet, they move through areas that suffered through Mautam last year. In Mizoram, the farmers practice slash and burn agriculture. They call it jum. Once the bamboo veil over this field has been lifted, there are rat burrows everywhere.
Oh, James, look at the number of burrows in this field.
Oh,
This pale soil dug up from below ground.
okay.
There's another one
It's
here.
evidence of how the rat onslaught unfolded here.
Rat burrows going down here. There's a big one down this side. This one's got nest,
Oh, shit.
old nest material in there. So underneath the surface here, I think.
Okay.
Oh, this field blows me away. We've got a rat burrow on the surface, maybe one every yard, and that's what, 2,000-3,000 rats per acre. And we add to that all the rats that would have been living up in their leaf nests, up in the trees, in the bushes, in the bamboo. We may be looking at something like 10,000 rats per acre or more. Now that's a number that's off the scale. I've never heard of that sort of rat density in forest, in rice fields, any kind of habitat anywhere in the world. When was the main period of damage in the field? When
By interviewing the farmers who were hit last year, Ken is trying to establish a timeline, from when the bamboo fruit appeared to when the rats ravaged the fields. It seems to take about 6 months until the rats attack.
February, March, rat population is visibly high in the forest by June.
In normal times, the bamboo forest has very little food for rats to eat, so mother black rats reproduce infrequently. If food is especially short, they conveniently eat their young, further reducing the number of hungry mouths. The bamboo fruit that appears every 48 years radically changes that equilibrium. Cannibalism disappears and rat reproduction kicks into overdrive. Over several months of bamboo fruiting, a single well-fed female can start a cycle resulting in nearly 200 offspring. So take 50 females, and they will produce a ravenous plague of over 10,000 rats. But it's only when the supply of fruit runs out that the rats, now in huge numbers, descend on the crops. At least that's Ken's theory. But he doesn't yet have proof. Ken and James drive further west, determined to catch the Mautam in action. For sale by the side of the road, they find a precious clue in the form of a tiny insect
What is it, James?
with an unflattering name.
Stink bug.
Yeah, stink bug.
They're still alive.
According to local Mizos, these tangnang bugs only appear once every 48 years, just as Mautam begins.
When there's no Mautam, they don't come. We have no idea where they come from.
Tangnang bugs are a type of aphid, but little is known about why they swarm during Mautam. What is known is you can eat them. The bugs are crushed into a paste and boiled to make a nutritious cooking oil. This harbinger of famine is also a kind of manna from heaven. After a day and a half of driving and looking for clues, Ken and James reach the village of Zamwang. It's bordered by a massive bamboo forest, whose swaths of brown reveal that it's in full bloom, the first stage of Mautam. They have arranged to work together with a farmer named Moya, using his rice field as a kind of living laboratory. Moya and his wife, Mami, are subsistence farmers. They live with their 3 children, working their small plot. Ken has seldom worked in fields where the stakes are so high.
We are trying to have our own rice field. At the same time, we're very scared that the rats may eat up everything. I think it's very frightening, this Mautam.
If the rats eat our rice, if they really eat it all up, it will break our hearts. 1 year's hard work will simply go all to waste.
In the forest at the base of Moya's field, Ken gets his first glimpse of what's to come.
Well, James, we're here. Mautam.
Yeah. We're in the heart of the Mautam.
An incredible amount of fruit.
Yes.
It's a perfect food for rats, James.
Yes,
the
yes, sure.
nutrition and the sheer quantity of it. Vast quantity.
Yeah.
Ken is standing at ground zero, a place surrounded by trees laden with bamboo fruit. Over the next few months, he estimates that 10 tons of fruit per acre will ripen and drop. The fuse has been lit.